Alright, next up is this MTD 21-inch mulching machine with a Briggs engine on the top. This is an older one as well. Looks like date code of 01, so 2001, 20 years old. Alright, so it does have some fuel. Smells old. It's at least a year old, more maybe. So that's not a good sign. Oil, a little bit, and it's dark, so hasn't been serviced in a little while. Let's look underneath. Look at that blade. Look at that edge of that thing. It's just worn right down. So it definitely will need a new blade. Let's see the cable. Cable's actually in pretty decent shape. Doesn't really retract on its own, but a little bit of lube that might work. Alright, let's take a look around the other side. So it's a primer system, which I prefer honestly to an auto choke system. I'll get the air filter cover off. Alright, so filter is almost like petrified a little bit. So I see also this fuel tank is a little bit on the odd side and it's faded there. No clamps. Alright, another thing I noticed here was all these wheels are wobbly. Okay, so I think I probably have wheels for this thing, but I mean, stuff's kind of adding up here, so let's see if we can get this thing to run. I'll shut the primer. Alright. I do see the primer working. It could be really crappy gas because it is old, so maybe it's not burnable. So I'm going to get some quick start to try and use that stuff in here. Alright, so just going to bend back that tab and put some stuff I know that is for sure flammable. So it's running, it stayed running. So this might be a candidate to just sell as basically a cottage or camper mower. Just kind of sell it as is for 60 bucks. You know, it seemed like the even with the throttle in the wide open position, it was still running a little on the slow side. So I'll bend this tab a little bit right here, bend that guy, and then I'll bend it this way. I could probably actually just bend it with my hand, and then that should increase the RPM. But yeah, might just clean the spark plug and put in a used air filter, or just clean up the one that was in it. And then this blade, I'll sharpen the blade as best I can and balance it. But again, for 60 or 80 bucks, you know, it's going to be a running, cutting lawnmower. Moving on. Alright, next one we got is this Murray. Real basic lawnmower, doesn't have height adjusters, maybe a 20-inch deck or 19-inch deck. Very, very basic. So let's see what we got going on here. Alright, so these springs are all jimmy rigged. They're not right, all bent. So I'd be surprised if it ran. Let's see if it's got any fuel. No fuel. Pretty dirty tank in there. It's missing a pull cord. So already we're kind of at a point, you know, for $80 mower if I fix it up. It's I mean the primer bulb's kind of coming off in my hand. It's disintegrating. Looks like we're already to a point where it's not really salvageable. It's missing obviously this guard here, which I don't know if I have another one. The blade looks like it's in half decent shape, but let's see if this brake cable works. Okay, the brake cable does work. It's actually fairly smooth. I'm pretty sure that's the wrong muffler. That's a quantum engine muffler, not a classic. So I don't know. I think I might just take this top cover off and then use the pull cord, temporary pull cord trick that I used on one of the other ones. Let's see. Yeah, it looks like it has some oil in it. Alright, let me take this cover off and let's see if it'll even fire. Alright, I'll spray some quick start in the carb. See what we get. Well, looky there. Engine runs. Okay, well, now I'm kind of torn because I don't really want to check out a good engine or part out a good engine. We haven't even gotten into the carburetor yet. It might need new diaphragm. So it's got compression and spark and fuel, so it's not getting fuel necessarily, but I might have to check to see if I got one of these. If I don't, I might just take the engine off, scrap the deck. Alright, this is quick and dirty, so moving on. Alright, next candidate's this Yard Machines by MTD, the little Briggs classic engine on it. Basically the same as this guy over here, same deck, same wheels, but different engine. Let's see what we got going on here. Bone dry. Alright, this will go. Oh, yeah, that looks nice. Alright guys, so these are what the springs are supposed to look like. Alright, let's see about oil. Yep, some oil, and it's not bad actually, fairly clean. And next I'm just going to check the underside before I see if this thing will start. Oh, okay, well, can't get it to start without a blade. The blade kind of acts as a counterweight or counterbalance, so these things don't like to run without blades. So looks like we'll have to maybe see about getting a blade for it. So, alright, well, we know what this one needs. I don't know if I have a, I'll see if I can get a blade real quick. Alright, so I got a blade on there temporarily. Let's see what we get. Okay, well, there's another problem. You can see, brake cable, no working. Alright, so to get around the brake cable thing, I just tie wrapped the brake in the open position. And then once, if we get it started, and it won't run, it won't stay running, there's no fuel, but you could always just hold your fingers over the intake and choke it out, and it would stop that way. Alright, so there's another problem. And I think it's a self-induced problem. I actually did spill a bunch of oil when I had it flipped over. And what I believe has happened, because I can't pull the cord, all right? So if you can't pull the cord, either something is jammed up really bad, or you've done something, or the engine is called Hydra Locked. And Hydra Locked means that the cylinder has filled up with oil and the piston cannot go up and down because there's no space in the cylinder. So I'm going to take this out, spark plug out, and then we're going to pull it over, and if it will pull over, you're probably going to see a bunch of oil spill out of the spark plug hole. Alright, so I'm going to get some cardboard to put over here in this area, just in case it does spew oil if it is Hydra Locked. Alright, so let's pull it over and see if it spits oil. Not at all. Not pulling up at all. So, definitely some sort of a restriction. Must have been something kind of jammed up, but I did notice in here, it's hard to see, but the ignition coil is right here at the end of my finger. It's got two posts. This post seems to be rubbing up against the flywheel. Now it seems to be okay now. Maybe it was just a little bit rusty. Alright, so spark plug's back in. Let's see if it'll fire up. So that seems to be on fire. Alright, so once again, another one that probably needs some carb work, or maybe just fuel in it. But it's again a little bit on the crusty side. Alright, just things are definitely not you know, up to my sort of standards for spending 2-3 hours to get this thing back up in service to make it look like one of these guys. All right, so got the brake cable, carb work. Again, this is probably going to be much like this other one here, and we're probably going to just sell it as a cheapo $60–$80 mower. All right, moving on to the last one. All right, so this last one is under the Brute brand. It's actually Brute is actually owned, or it's a trademark name of Briggs & Stratton, which typically just makes engines, but they do have this Brute lineup of small lawn equipment. This one's in a little better shape. Adjusters on the wheels. Wheels look like they're in okay shape. It is filthy. All sorts of oil. I think someone probably turned it over on the wrong side. Let's see here. This brake cable is off on this one as well. I'm not sure. We're gonna have to look at that first. See if it has any gas. It does. Doesn't smell fresh. Check the oil. Whoa. Not very much oil in there. There is some, but not very much. I'm not going to let it run for very long if it does run. Check underneath. Whoa, look at that blade. That thing is bent. It actually hangs down below the height of the deck. So this thing, if it does run, it's probably going to shake, rattle, and roll. And anytime there's a broken or a bent blade like that, yeah, you have to wonder if the crankshaft is also bent, if they hit something pretty hard, or the flywheel key is broken. So let's see what we got here. I might have to, oh, I already tie wrapped this one apparently. So I have looked at this one already. Anyways, let's, I don't remember. So let's see what we get. Primer does work. Spark plug is attached. Oh, let's see what we get, if anything. That's interesting. All right, so pulling this and getting zero resistance. It's not turning the engine over at all. So something's going on with the pull start on this one as well. I'm going to just take this cover off and then dive into that real quick and see what it needs. Alright, so a couple things I noticed. One, the housing there for the starter recoil is broken off on the front bolt, which goes right here. And these two bolts back here were actually the not the right bolts, factory bolts. This thing's caked with grass. I don't know if it's a nest or what, but that's not going to do anything good for engine cooling. And then the other thing was, this is a pawl that goes on the starter. It actually flings out and gets caught on this, and then that turns this flywheel. Okay, so this whole thing is trash. So I do have another one of those, but I'm not sure that I'm gonna put all these parts into this. If I gotta buy a cable, then it's just when you start buying parts, if you don't have the parts, that's when it becomes not worth it, especially for something like this that might be maybe $100 when I clean it up. That's going to be that's going to be quite some effort to clean this thing up. So I don't know, might take the engine off of that guy, the middle one, put it on this guy, and make 2 out of 1 for this one. But out of curiosity, I need to see if some of these parts work. I want to see if the coil works, so we'll see if we get any spark out of this thing by just trying to fire it up. I'll use the rope again on the top, just like I have done it a couple times already because of these starters. It seems to be a day of the broken recoil starter rope. Put some actual starter fluid in here and see what happens. It does fire up. It does cut cardboard. So yeah, I think I'll part this one out, take some of the decent parts off. The parts I'll keep are probably this intake tube, the coil. I'll take the flywheel off and take out the flywheel key. I'll check to see if I need a carburetor. I only usually keep 1 or 2 carburetors because I just can't keep so many parts. And then I'll swap out the engine off the other guy and put it on this one. Alright guys, that's it for, I know this is a long sort of drawn out video, but you know, I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 machines, plus I had 4 more that I've actually cleaned up and gotten ready for sale since then. And I've got a couple videos on these ones as well coming up. So yeah, triage day can be a long drawn out process if you've got 10 machines or so, but you know, 5 minutes a machine or just to see if they'll run, and then kind of get an assessment and see whether or not it's worth it. So hopefully you know, some of you guys liked the content here and enjoyed me kind of troubleshooting this stuff, and maybe it'll help you guys out in troubleshooting your own machines. So if you like the content, please hit the like button, and if you're not already a subscriber, consider doing so. We wrench on stuff pretty much a couple times a week here in the garage, and post the videos. And if you like that kind of stuff, consider subscribing. And there's also a notification bell that will notify you every time I post a new video. So thanks again for joining me, and until the next project, guys, take care.